It's 2 o'clock.
Okay.
The Code Board of the City of Tarpon Springs meeting is called to order. Bobbie, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wade?
Present.
Mr. Fidio?
Here.
Mr. Weeks is absent today. Ms. Tellier?
Here.
Ms. Archer? Here. Mr. Rolleston?
Here.
Dr. Matea?
Here.
That completes your roll call.
Thank you. Mr. Trask will give the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, we seek blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We pray that our work this afternoon will find favor in your sight. This we pray. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order of this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. The procedure of the board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city's witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing argument, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After those three steps are taken, this board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearings, we'll have any potential witnesses stand up and be sworn in by the secretary of the board. Sir, if you're testifying, would you please stand? Thank you. And she will swear you in.
Raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. You see them?
Thank you. And anybody, remember to turn your cell phones off, please. The first item on our agenda today has been complied. We're going to skip to item 2. Case number 21-800000605. The address is 707 Anclote Drive. The owner is listed as 2018-3 I.H. Borrower. Is anyone here for that case? That's the case that you're here for. The city's going to present a case, then you'll ask questions, and then we'll get both sides. Thank you. Do you have any objections to her evidence being admitted? Bobbie will mark it as received. Thank you. The city will proceed.
Okay, my name is Beth Hughes. I'm the City Code Inspector, FACE certified for Tarpon Springs. This is case number 21-800000605, 707 Anclote Drive. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices, to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 contains the administrative documents, to include the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. And Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All of the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent, return receipt requested, and first-class mail. And Madam Chair, thank you for accepting all the exhibits into the record as evidence. We have had contact with the tenant via phone and personal contact. On October 19th of 2021, I conducted the initial inspection. I took pictures from the complainant's property at 625 Wideview and from their backyard. I had originally visited the property earlier, but didn't realize that that I had a meeting with the complainant. So we received the complaint on the 15th, but I conducted the inspection on the 19th. I brought the arborist with me on the second time in order to be able to look at the trees, see if any were hazardous or dead due to the vine growth. The vine overgrowth was so extensive that she could not determine if the trees were hazardous until the vines were removed. So on October 20th of 2021, a courtesy letter was mailed. On November 5th of 2021, I conducted a reinspection. The property owner had not removed the overgrowth. On November 5th of 2021, a notice of violation was mailed and the green card was returned signed and stamped. On November 9th of 2021, received a phone call from the tenant. She requested an extension because she wasn't sure whose responsibility it was to rectify the violation. And she had contacted the maintenance manager and needed additional time to try and determine who would be bringing the property into compliance. On January 10th, of 2022, I conducted the reinspection. This was after the extension we'd provided. I spoke with the tenant, and they had not heard from the owner nor manager yet. He called the number and left a message. The manager called back while I was there and said that she would start working on it. Basically, I apologize, that was in the wrong spot. That was the phone call on November 9th. On November 10th, when I conducted the reinspection, and the property was still not in compliance, and we had not heard back from anyone, we sent the notice of violation, the notice of hearing. So on January 14th, the notice of hearing was mailed, and the green card was returned signed, and the postal tracking showed delivered. On January 28th of 2022, the sign was posted, and an affidavit of the posting was signed. On February 9th of 2022, I conducted the final inspection. The tenant had done some work on the vines and had cut the roots of many of them, and they are dying in the treetops. The vines, however, are still in the treetops, and the arborist still is unable to determine at this time whether the trees are healthy or damaged. The vines still need to be removed, and the trees reassessed afterward, and not all the vines have been removed either. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up pictures. And before I do that, the arborist is actually going to explain the condition of the property. So I would like to be able to call her as an expert witness. So I'm going to let her give her credentials, and she was already sworn in earlier.
Hello, I'm Shannon Brewer. I'm a certified arborist, FL-9221AM. I also hold a tree risk assessment qualification, which is considered TRAC in our industry standard. When we met with the tenant, everything was overgrown. It was very difficult. We were weaving in and out to get to different places. As you can see through the photos, the treetops were not exposed. What my main concern was is that since the vines are very opportunistic, they were covering dead limbs. And being able to identify which limb went to which tree was the difficulty. And that was my main concern, is that there's a lot of dead limbs at the very top. I believe it's the last picture in the series where it shows that the vines are dead and they're hanging, but I can't really still tell when I was trying to go in with her which ones go to which tree, and that's why I asked that the vines be removed. You can keep, so you can see, as we were trying to stomp through the property and in between the vines, I did point out that Brazilian pepper is an invasive that needs to be removed and kept off the property in perpetuity. Also, that the cherry laurel, we did some tree identification, showed the leaves, showed which ones, so when they were doing their work, did not require permitting. And there are some oak trees in there, and that's what I was the most concerned about, were the oak tree, and if that tree, multiple trees, had the dead limbs. Keep going. There we go. See how it's now, because the vine, from the very beginning, how the vines are still dead and they're hanging in there, but there's not a lot of leaf to show that the tree has a lot of vitality left in it. And with the vines being all messed up and growing in with each other, that's when I was concerned that some maybe dead limbs were hung up inside of them. And so that's where we're at.
Okay, so in summary, what I'm requesting the code board members is to find the property in violation of City Code 8-52 nuisance prohibitions and in violation of City Code 133.02 applicability and maintenance. And that concludes my testimony.
Does the board have any questions for either Beth or our city arborist?
Is this an empty lot?
No, ma'am, there's a house and a tenant.
Okay.
You were taking a picture with the fence in the front of the, where the trees were?
Yeah.
And then it looked clean on that side, so their property's on the other side?
Yes, ma'am. So if you need me to pull the pictures up, I certainly can. So I was on the property that is behind the property with the violations. So when you see the clean property with the fence, that I'm taking pictures from the complainant side. The property where you can see the the vines all growing from the, all around the trees at the trunks, that's when I'm actually on their property. And the tenant did escort me back there.
Okay.
Now, if you'd like to come to the microphone, first you get to ask them questions, just questions, then you get to present your case. And there's a microphone for you right there.
Yes.
Could you tell us your connection to the property, please?
I work for Invitation Homes. I'm here just representing them. That's what I'm doing right now.
You don't own the property?
We own the property, but I just work for the company that owns the property.
Okay. Mr. Trask, is that sufficient?
Yes.
Thank you. All righty. Do you have any questions first?
No, not at all.
All right. Would you like to state your case for us, please?
Well, unfortunately, we know
Right.
we know we had this problem, but the way we work is we have to have different contractors before we can give a final answer. Right now, they're working in the house. As I'm speaking right now, they're working on it. I'm waiting for my supervisor to send me a couple of pictures so I can prove to you that they're doing the work today.
Today?
Which work?
They're removing all the trees and all the
Okay.
whatever needs to be cut. Like we have landscapers right now working on the property for the issues that they presented to you.
You drove by that property on your way here?
No, I didn't. No. Like I said, I'm just waiting for them to send me the picture so I can show you a proof. But you will see it tomorrow or either later today that it will be fixed.
Does the board have any questions for him? Does the city have any questions for him?
No, I don't. Thank you.
She's going to summarize her case, and then you'll summarize. Do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add. The only thing I would suggest is in case it's not in compliance after today, that I don't know if he might want a little time so that they could come back and finish anything that may not have been completed that would be required. So I don't.
Board will keep that in consideration, sir. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Just for clarification,
Yeah.
okay, being in compliance is removing all the dead vines and also removing any pepper trees and stuff like that?
Right, so
Okay.
to gain compliance, it would be removing all the vines, which the tenant did a good job starting it, but it's by nowhere completed. There was still a lot more that hasn't been done. And any of the pepper trees are the only invasive tree that's required to be removed. I actually did not cite them for pepper trees. I think they had exotic trees, but not pepper trees. The exotic trees can be removed without a permit, but they were not cited to actually remove any trees. They're required to maintain the trees that are there. So once the vines are removed, that's when we'll do a tree assessment, and if any are hazardous and need to be removed, we would then have to cite them with a new case for that. So this case, I'm sorry, to answer your question succinctly, it's for the removal of any undergrowth and the vines, not only just to cut them, but to remove the remnants in the trees, and to make sure that the trees that are still present are in good shape and well-maintained.
The public portion of the case is now closed. Would anyone on the board like to entertain a motion?
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented and law that at the time the alleged violations, section City Code 8-52 and City Code 133.02 of the City Code of Ordinance of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and in effect. The respondent were in violation thereof.
Second.
Oh,
Roll call, please.
Dr. Matea?
Aye.
Mr. Rolleston?
Yes.
Ms. Archer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tellier?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Take please your roll call.
First motion has passed. Would anyone like to make a second motion?
Okay, I move that the respondent shall have until, what's today's date? September. Until 24 February to bring the property into compliance with code sections City Code 8-52 and City Code 133.02, or suffer a fine of $50 per day for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said code sections.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Matea?
Aye.
Mr. Rolleston?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tellier?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Your motion carries.
Mr. Trask is going to summarize what we have just done.
So, sir, I'm down here, okay? So, 2018-3 IH Bar or LP has been found in violation of those two code sections, 8-52 and 133.02. The Code Enforcement Board is giving the property owner until February 24th to come into compliance. If you come into compliance before that date, there will be no fines assessed. Should the company fail to bring the property into compliance by that date, a $50 a day fine will be assessed. There will be a board order entered. It'll be entered within about the next 10 days and provided to the property owner at the address listed at the property appraiser's office. If you have any questions about what you need to do to bring the property into compliance, you can contact the code enforcement officer after the meeting today. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Case 3. This is a repeat violator case. The case number is 22-800000012. The address is 1116 Gulf Oaks Drive, London Eaves. It's in violation of City Code 8-52, and the city will proceed. It's complied now.
It's in compliance, yes. This is a repeat violation. Okay, so my name is Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE certified code inspector for the city of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 22-800000012 for 1116 Gulf Oaks Drive. This is a repeat violator case. The repeat violation case number was 21-800-00457 in violation of City Code 8-52. It was established on that date, so there were no fines at that time. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 contains the administration documents to include the case summary, previous board orders, and property appraiser and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. Exhibit 5 contains the affidavit of prosecution costs. All of the photographs and exhibits that were given to the property owner are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested and first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Bobbie will do so, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we did have contact with the owner by phone. On January 19th of 2022, I conducted an initial inspection. The small excavator was parked in the front yard. On January 19th of 2022, the code clerk attempted to notify the property owner that there was a repeat violation and we would be sending a notice. On January 20th of 2022, the repeat violation notice of hearing was mailed, and per the postal tracking record, the notice was left. On January 25th of 2022, we received a call that the property was ready for reinspection. I did go by and verify that the excavator had been moved. On January 28th of 2022, a sign was posted and an affidavit of the posting was signed. And I'll go ahead and pull up a picture. I just have the one picture here showing that the excavator was in the front yard. So I would like to ask the code board members to find this property in violation of City Code 8-52 for the nuisance prohibitions. The property was in violation from the initial inspection of January 19th, 2022, and in compliance as of January 25th, 2022, for a total of 6 days. And that concludes my testimony.
What fine did we levy?
Last time there was no fine because it was in compliance and I just had the property established for this. If you're thinking of the other cases, it was for the trailer. This was for the excavator.
Okay. And what fine did we issue for the trailer, or did it comply in time also? 25?
There were a lot of them, and it was going up each time.
I guess it's kind of irrelevant if they complied within the time frame that we gave.
Well, it was for a different violation code. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask the attorney if it's relevant for this case or not, but I can find out what it was for the last one.
This is the case and the evidence we have before us. I think that's all we have to rule on.
The last, I've almost got it. One more second here. The last one was at $250 a day. But that was for a different violation, and I don't know if, I'd have to ask Mr. Trask if that's relevant to this one.
Well, as for relevancy, the board would make that determination. So, Madam Chair, if you believe it's relevant, you can admit it, and if not, then you can say it's not, and you can move forward, but that's not a determination for me to make.
I'd like to have that evidence submitted just for reference. Thank you. Would anybody like to make a motion?
And the
or have
previous
questions?
violations were for 8.52 as well?
Yeah.
Just a different item.
No, no.
Oh, okay.
So the one for $250 a day was for the other repeat violation of 42.00, which is a recreational vehicle.
Okay.
The one for this case of 8-52 has only been established and never fined before. This would be the first repeat violation for 8-52.
Right. And the 4.00 was for the trailer, which is listed as a recreational vehicle, but it was a construction trailer, but whatever. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah.
And Madam Chair, just for clarity, what did you want us to turn in for you? You'd ask us to submit some information, just what was
What you
fined
were-
previously?
What you were telling us, yes.
Okay.
It was just your testimony, okay?
Yes.
So there's no documents, it would just be your testimony. She's allowing it to come in.
Thank you.
And I guess the distinction without a difference is that the last one was, quote, for and air quotes here, recreational vehicle trailer, which was really a construction trailer, but we're looking at this
whole separate
8.52
case.
nuisance, right, so.
Right,
Yeah.
I have it, for me, I defined it as a different code, yes.
No, I got it. Well, that's what the law says, so. Got it.
It was an FYI.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Anybody like to make a motion?
Yep. Yeah, I move that based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in the law, that the respondent was in violation of Section City Code 8-52 of the Tarpon Springs City Code from, 19 February 2022 until 25 February, belay that, 19 January 2022 until 25 January 2022, for a total of 6 days and a fine of $50 per day for 6 days, or a fine of $300. In addition, I move that the city be awarded $56.50 for the cost it incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second.
Roll call, please. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Matea,
Aye.
Mr. Rolleston,
Yes.
Mrs. Archer,
Yes.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Mr. Fidio,
Aye.
Ms. Wade.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 4, which is an affidavit of non-compliance. Case number 21-800000578, 41041 US Highway 19 North. Is it CVS as in the business?
It's not where the store is located, it's just the corporate company owns that property right now.
Okay, which is under CVS 709, Florida's LLC, and the RACT Corporation System.
That's registered agent is
Okay.
the CT Corp.
Thank you.
Okay.
And this was the lot to the right of the CVS, I think, from last.
Yes, it's where the
Okay.
exotic
Got
motor
it.
cars used to be.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And it has not been complied.
No.
I'll,
Go ahead.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in law that the resident failed to timely comply with the board's prior order within the time prescribed and to award the city $186 for the costs incurred in prosecuting of this case.
Second.
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, was that you, Mr. Porfirio, that said the second? Yes, thank you, I'm sorry, I thought it was. Dr. Matea?
Aye.
Mr. Rolleston?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tellier?
Yes.
Mr. Porfirio?
Aye.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Thank you. That completes your roll call.
We have three affidavits of client compliance. We will look at those separately since there are dollar amounts for each of them that are different. The first one is number 5 on your agenda, case number 21-8000498. Address is 803 Peninsula Road. Stephen P. King, Edward R. Mitchell, in violation of City Code 8-52. Somebody would like to make a motion?
I move to accept the affidavit of compliance and to award the city $136 for the cost that it incurred in prosecuting this case.
Second.
If we could do this as a voice vote?
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next one is item 6, 21-800000634. The address is 40114 US Highway 19 North, Tarpon Square Associates, in violation of City Code 25-12, City Code 11.3. If anybody would like to make a motion.
I move to accept the affidavit of compliance and to award the city $157.50 for the cost that incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And I did have a question for the city on item number 7. Has the water system been restored on this property, or is it still?
No, I don't believe so, but the tenants are no longer there, so they're not required to have water since the tenants were evicted.
Thank you. I just want people to know that we're watching to make sure that there's potable water for residents. Item 7 on your agenda, and it's case number 21-800000467. The address is 305 Grand Boulevard, and it's from the estate of Stephen C. Brown. There is no fine associated with this. So would someone like to make a motion to accept the affidavit of
I move to
compliance?
accept the affidavit of compliance for the city.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Thank you. In regard to that same property is item number 8.
And may I make a correction to something? We passed out to you today the correction. When
Yes.
we had put this in the packet to be mailed, we had the wrong name of the representative for the property. As Ms. Cole, that was the person that actually was here and was a tenant that was evicted. The proper representative was Terry Lynch, and we have corrected that in the city response. And I just wanted to make note of, so in the city response's recommendation, the only difference, there's no change to my recommendation at all, other than I had the wrong name as the representative. It's Terry Lynch, not Ms. Cole. Ms. Cole was who was evicted.
Yes.
And Officer Boone just wanted to let you know also that he's here in case you had any questions regarding any of the work that the attorney did with the police department in the community help of trying to get the tenants evicted.
Do you think we need to hear the testimony from the officer?
he's just available should you have any questions.
Okay.
If you would like to speak with him, he'd be more than happy to.
Does the board have any questions for Officer Boone? Have you been sworn in, sir? I think we should have sworn him in, Bobbie, please.
Sir, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Oh, okay, we need to get you on the microphone. Please, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm always concerned when people are staying in abandoned houses or in property that doesn't belong to them, and especially if there's no water. Can you give us a brief update so we're comfortable?
Yes, ma'am. With the code enforcement and myself, which I do all our community policing within the city, we were able to reach out to the attorney that handled that whole situation. And I'll tell you, within 30 days, he was making progress, not only at the house trying to get the eviction, but working with us, gave us trespass authorization, which is really hard for the police to do on private property, but he did give it to us. He worked with 4 of the neighbors who were calling him and calling us every time somebody would show up different that did not have somewhat of a standing in that home at the time. So based on that, whatever we can do, I think the guy went above and beyond.
Okay, we're comfortable with
Very much
the
so.
safety of the property.
Absolutely.
Thank
And that
you.
even coming from the citizens that live around there who sent me emails.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
We're glad you have you on the force. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Anyone else have any questions for him?
The property is secured now, and people are watching to make sure, other than just the neighbors, because it's an awful burden for them to be.
Absolutely. That, as well as we, the police, do routine checks there now. So we're able to go up on the door, turn the handle, walk around the property by the attorney giving us that authority.
Perfect.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, and thanks to the police department for that work on that property. That was a big deal.
Thank you, ma'am.
Would anybody like to make a motion, or do you have any other comments?
No, it sounds like they worked in good faith to get it taken care of, so let's go.
Therefore, a motion for fine reduction would be appropriate, and you've read a letter from the city in regard to this. Would anybody like to make a motion regarding that?
I move to make a reduction in the fine of this property to $250.
Do I hear a second? Second. Let's do a voice vote on this one, Bobbie. Roll call, please.
Okay. Dr. Matea?
Aye.
Mr. Rolleston?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mrs. Tellier?
Yes.
Mr. Fidio?
Aye.
Ms. Wade?
Yes. Do we have minutes that need to be approved?
No, ma'am.
There's no one in the audience to speak.
Have something?
Would board or staff like to make any comments?
I would. I'd like to get both Brian and Lisa to stand up. So Brian, as you know, has helped me a little bit over a year, and I'd just like to thank him. He's decided to go back to dispatch. And
like
I
that
wanted to
dispatch.
just say a formal thank you, and I wanted to introduce you to Lisa Mercier. Am I saying that right? Mercier, say it. Mercier. Mercier. And she also worked dispatch, so they're kind of swapping positions. But we're sorry to see Brian go and very excited to see Lisa come. So today was probably a little overwhelming. We kind of threw her into the fire, but I just wanted to introduce you to her, so you'll be seeing her and having communication from her from now on.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Welcome, Lisa. Any staff members feel, or board members need to make a comment? That's all then. Meeting is adjourned.
Well
Thank
done,
you.
Madam Chair.